Oh my God, that color is terrible. What happened? Hold on. Let me see if. Wow. I am all washed out. I feel that way. And let me see if I can. No, I think it's my camera. I think because I figured this might happen. Oh my God. Okay, you want to know what I'm going to do? You guys are going to have to excuse me for a minute because, ugh. What happened is I use a ugh. I got all Donald Trump there, look. Orange woman bad. I turned on my camera before my studio lights were on, and I think it adjusted. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to keep talking, but I'm going to turn the camera off for a second and reset it. This is crazy. Hold on. I won't be able to take that. Hold on. Let's close this and let's try this again. Okay. This should be better. Yes. Now I know not to turn on my camera before I turn on my studio lights. I use my iPhone to record. It's as high a quality as, but now I fucked with my settings. Let me reset. There we go. To me, it's as good a quality as some of those super expensive cameras. I use a program called Shoot. So if you're interested in that, but not all streaming programs will allow you to use your iPhone. That's one reason why I use Ecamm, but it's for Mac users only. It's for people with good taste. Oh, I don't need this thing on. Okay. All right, we're ready now. We are ready. And Bunchy is still freaking out because I haven't had a chance to fuck with him. If you're wondering what's going on with my voice, yes, I lost my voice over the weekend. We had 3 events, and the more I talk, the worse it's going to get. We had 3 events. We had an event Friday, though I didn't go to that event because there's a long story, but I did still go out. And we had an event Saturday, and we had an event Sunday. And Saturday, it was at a loud place. Well, both places started to get a little loud. And when I have to talk so much, I lose my voice. I'm not sick or anything. It's just me losing my voice from talking too much. And if you read IPR, according to George Phillies, all I did was talk the entire meeting. Well, I'm elected to have opinions, but a lot of other people talked too. But I do my fair share of talking. I do not deny that fact. So this is a brief update of what happened over the weekend. I really would love to take questions over anything that happened over the weekend. My voice will give out if I go too long, so this will not be a terribly long show. Before we get started, I did want to promote once again, and I promised the publishers I would do this, but I also have 2 chapters in this book. I'm very proud of it. It's the 50th anniversary edition of John Hosper's Libertarianism, a New Political Philosophy for Tomorrow. So it's like the tribute book. It's like not something I ever thought that I would be in, a tribute book to libertarianism. But I'm honored, I'm proud, and it's a good addition to your bookshelf. And let me see so you can find it. I'm not even sure if it's on Amazon. You might have to get it directly from the publisher. So let me let you know who the publisher is. But it's edited by C. Ronald Kimberling and Stan Oliver. And the publisher is Jameson Books out of Ottawa, Illinois. Because I think you might have to get it directly from the publisher. That's where I bought it. It's only available in hard copy. But it's well worth it. Along the bottom, again, if you enjoy the type of content that I produce, please consider becoming a patron, and all super chats matter. Oh my God, I'm already losing my voice. So that's it for the grifting. We're not going to waste more time on my grifting, and we're going to get right to the LNC meeting. I hope I remember everything that happened. We may need to look at the agenda. But I figured it would be a good show. But I also wanted to let you know, I said Bunchy sounds. Let me see. Let's compare. Yeah, we sound about the same. Okay, plus, you guys got to understand. Well, you don't have to understand, but I'm going to try to get you to understand. I left the house at about 5 o'clock a.m. on Friday. I've been nonstop since then. I flew back into Denver. I got in at 6:45 this morning and went right to work. So I've done LNC stuff all weekend, hardly any sleep. Flew in, had to leave the hotel at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Was it 4 o'clock in the morning this morning? Left Austin at 5:20, flew into Denver at 6:45, and then went in and put in a full day at my job. So it's been rough. It's been very, very rough. Okay, so highlights from the meeting. First of all, there were only 3 votes that required roll calls. I don't think that has ever happened. That makes minutes a lot easier on me because there's a lot of work doing to set up the charts in the minutes to do the roll calls, but then I also have to transfer them over to our permanent voting. We have like a voting record chart, and that just takes a lot of time. So having only 3 roll call votes is going to make the minutes a lot easier for me. Plus, we were in executive session for like 3.5 hours. No minutes are taken during that, so that's going to make it a lot easier for me. However, we did have a lot of motions. They just were without objection. So to give you perspective, a lot of LNC meetings have 31, 32 roll call votes, between 20 and 35. So to have only 3 is like a big deal. Like, we were a very agreeable group, and it wasn't like lockstep agreeable. It was just, okay, like for instance, the policy manual amendments. The committee had trust of the people appointed to the committee, trusted our arguments, and, there was a little bit of debate, and then they passed. But what was really funny is at the end of the first day, the daggers did come out for a little while. But that was kind of refreshing too, because if everything all weekend was without objection and without much debate, people would be like, oh, you guys are just, a bunch of, lemmings that follow each other. But we had a spirited debate late Saturday, and when we took a recess from that, I said to Dustin Nana, reminds you of old times, doesn't it? So what was the spirited debate on? The date and location of our next LNC meeting. And we got a little sharp with each other there, and it got a little chaotic. But I do want to address something with that. Well, I want to address a bunch of things with that. Since it was the most controversial thing of the weekend, I wanted to address the various points of view. And hopefully I'll represent the various points of view fairly, though I obviously have a very strong opinion on my own. But I want to address something that was said at IPR. Okay? So the editor over at IPR said, God, I want to give an exact quote. He said, the LNC, Robert's Rules of Order only matter when it comes to nitpicking affiliates to disaffiliate them. And the reason he said that is because things got quite chaotic during the debate on the meeting locations. But I have to tell you, if you think just getting a little chaotic with people cross-talking on a motion is the same thing as not properly noticing conventions, denying people the right to vote, denying people entrance to conventions, passing bylaws without proper authorization, and disaffiliating, thereby disenfranchising the members of your state is the same thing as crossover in a motion. Put down the crack pipe. My God, that is the hyperbole of the century. Should I say how I really feel? But it did get chaotic. And I think part of the reason it got chaotic is things were so agreeable up until that point. I don't think we knew how to handle contentious debate. We were so comfortable. And Angela is not a domineering chair. You know, she figures everyone will settle down. She doesn't like having to gabble through things. If we had kept it up, she would have. So it was chaotic for about maybe 10 minutes at most. I think maybe it was more like 5, but it could have been 10. And then we all settled down. So what was the debate over? The debate was over the dates. Angela had sent out a survey ahead of time saying, because there's a lot of state conventions coming up in the beginning of the year, and we really wanted to try to find a weekend that everyone was available and didn't have their own state convention to go to or whatever. And there had been some previous talk of having it in Miami because there's a lot of big donors in Miami, and we wanted to have a fundraising event. But flying to Miami in March, which is when April is when normally our first quarter meeting would be, was just super expensive. But the only dates that were good potentially in February were February like 24th. But Mike Rufo wasn't available that weekend. And I said, I'm not voting for a weekend that one of us isn't available when there are plenty of weekends that all of us are available. I'm not going to purposely disenfranchise somebody, even if it is cheaper. So we're going to need to pick a date in March. And yes, it's going to cost all of us more money, but I'm not going to disenfranchise somebody for money. Now, we're not talking about, though, a minor amount of money. So I'm not trying to throw any fellow LNC members under the bus. Their objections were very legitimate. It's going to cost some of us $300 more. But that's what we signed up for. And it's already a little ticklish with Mike Rufo. I'll get that in a moment. You know why? Because that's another controversy. It's not something that happened on the list, though. I mean, at the meeting, it's going to happen on the list. So we settled on March 10th through 12th, but we didn't settle on the location. March, for some reason, is super expensive everywhere to travel. But the other controversy became, I suggested having the meeting in New Mexico because, skipping ahead, we did affiliate a new New Mexico party. So I'm like, let's show them some love and let's have a meeting in New Mexico. We've never in 50 years of the history of this party had a meeting in New Mexico. So let's do it there. And some LNC members were looking at the airline prices and like, well, it'll cost me $700 round trip to go to New Mexico. We can't do that. And I'm like, hello, every time we have one on the East Coast, it costs me $700. Why is it okay to cost the people who live more west $700 each time we have it on the East Coast? And it just got really, really dynamic. I don't think some of the people who live closer to the East Coast realized that it was costing, you know, me, Michael Duque, Carrie Eiler, you know, those of us who are either on the West Coast, like Carrie Eiler and Michael Duque, or in the Western states, like myself, that every time we have to go to Virginia or Florida, it's between $600 and $700 unless we want to fly in the cargo hold of Spirit Airlines, which I am not going to do. Plus, I have to bring a lot of equipment to LNC meetings, so I have to bring a lot of luggage. Those cheap airlines, you have to, once you add in the luggage fees, it's not cheaper than Southwest. And I have a huge phobia of flying. I'll only fly Southwest because I'm used to them, and that helps ease my anxieties. So it got into a big thing. And I have to be honest with you. Listen, if it costs some of the East Coast people $700 to go to New Mexico, it costs me that every time we go to the East Coast. Every once in a while, you have to suck it up, Buttercup. I've been sucking it up, Buttercup, a lot. That meeting we had in Alexandria cost $650, I think, for me to fly there. If I'm going to fly to Miami, that's what it would cost. But whatever it is, it is. Whatever the will of the body is. I mean, I'm going to be there, quite obviously. But I'm still, I'm pushing for New Mexico still. So Robert Cross had a great idea. He's like, okay, you LNC members have a lot of great ideas. You fixed the date. I'm going to go, him, meaning Robert, I'm going to go get some bids, so you guys can decide on a location. But if you really have your heart set on certain locations, I'll email you the RFP, which is a request for proposal that we send to the hotels to see what kind of deal we can get. We try to get the meeting room for free if we book, a certain amount of food and a certain amount of rooms, whatever. He's like, you guys do the legwork. So you want to know what my happy ass did today? I sent out 3 RFPs to hotels in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'll put my work where my mouth is. Now, and I also sent one to Denver because I'm like, okay, why not? But the one I got from Denver, I think, is too expensive. So I'm not for plane fare. Actually, flying into Denver usually is pretty reasonable because it's a big hub. But the hotel rooms were like $160 a night, plus like all these taxes. And normally we don't like spending more than $120 a night. We're already spending so much money to get out there. So I doubt we're going to pick the Denver location, though it's a super cool location. We've been there before, but man, the prices went up. So that was the big controversy. But we did decide amicably on March 10th, everyone is available March 10th. The location is to be determined. So, but anyone who's listening out there, if you'd like us to have the LNC meeting in your area, but it needs to be near an airport. If it's near a major airport, send me the location and some names of hotels. I'll send out RFPs. And they're having a Moldorama exhibition at the Chicago Museum of Science and Technology, and I want to go to that so bad. So I'm going to send an RFP to some Chicago hotels too, so I can go to the Moldorama exhibit. Does San Jose have a major airport near it? Normally when we have meetings in California, they're in Los Angeles, I'm trying to think of the other ones. It has to be an airport hotel. Like it has to be right around the corner from the airport. Send me some names of hotels. I'll tell you the type of requirements we have. They have to have a meeting space that will accommodate at least 80 people with a large like circle, it's a meeting, like a board meeting. You've probably seen the video. So you got to have a decent amount of meeting space. They have to have some catering services on site because we usually have lunch from the hotel. And the hotel rooms, we don't like spending, let's say, more than $130 a night. That's kind of the requirements. But send me some hotels and the Manchester airport is not a major airport. It's expensive to fly into, but send me some. I'll send RFPs to New Hampshire. We'll see where we get the best deal. I'll tell you what, if a hotel is cheap enough, people will be willing to pay more for air. So yeah, if you guys would like to lobby for an LNC meeting being in your neck of the woods, I'll send out the RFPs. I'll do the legwork. But I'll tell you, I'm really gunning for Albuquerque because I think that would be super cool to support the New Mexico party. I also, but there isn't a major airport, would love to go to Idaho to support those guys who have had, problems. Even Vermont, some of these affiliates that have, had Delaware, but we'll see. So we haven't decided on a location yet. No, and when I say the daggers came out, that's I'm being hyperbolic, but it was the most spirited debate of the weekend. It was the only spirited debate of the weekend, really, and that's funny, over meeting dates and locations. So all of the policy manual changes passed. The policy manual is now 47 pages. Our goal was to get it below 50 pages. So we did it. That is awesome. I've already did the edits. I just haven't uploaded it yet. So next big thing, the bylaws committee was appointed, but not the alternates yet. So the bylaws committee is all appointed by the LNC. I have various feelings about that. I go back and forth. I know Mike Seebeck and I had said before that the bylaws committee should never be appointed by the board. But then again, I do think we have a responsibility to make sure it's qualified people. So I don't know. I actually think the bylaws committee is too small. It used to be bigger, and people felt that was unwieldy. But I've chaired the platform committee when we've had 20 members plus up to 15 or more alternates. And if you have a good chair, it's not unwieldy. I actually do think the bylaws committee should be the same size as the platform committee and appointed the same way or close to the same way, to let state parties have appointments and the LNC have a limited number of appointments. Whatever. That's not a priority of mine. It's just kind of something I've thought a lot about. But anyway, there's 10 members of the bylaws committee. Those have been appointed. It is, and I'm probably going to forget some names, so help me if I forget. It's Sylvia Arrowwood, who's the professional registered parliamentarian who helped Vermont. Nick, whose last name I cannot pronounce, but I'm going to mangle it. I can't even mangle it. Cieleski from Georgia. Paul Bracco from Virginia, and I've worked with him before. Myself, Rob Latham, who's on the Judicial Committee, and he's an attorney. He's excellent. Ken Molman, whom you all know. How many did I just do? I did Arrowwood, Bracco, Selesky, Harlos, Latham, Molman. Then there's Mike Seebeck, Mike Rufo. So there's only 2 LNC members on this committee, which is unusual. You're allowed to have up to 5, but only 2 LNC members wanted to be on it. Who am I missing? Tom Roulette. I'm missing somebody else. I always miss a name in this. Crap, who am I missing? I need to look at the list. Oh, I did put them up on the website, so I could go look on the website. Every time I miss somebody different. So let me look that up, but I think that's pretty exciting. We're gonna start meeting very soon. But I'm going to talk about alternates in a minute, but let me just get all the appointees down. Frank Martin! Oh my God, how did I forget Frank Martin? Frank Martin from New Mexico. I really encouraged him to apply. So I'm so glad that he got on it. He did such a good job in New Mexico. So those are the 10 primary members. But the bylaws committee has a lot of attrition. It's a hard committee. We appointed really, really good members, so there might not be so much attrition this time, because I think sometimes in the past people didn't know what they were getting into. We're going to appoint 7 alternates. That ballot expires tomorrow at 11 Eastern, so 9 in the morning. We'll know our 7 alternates. So that will be good. And I was appointed. The way it works with the chair of these committees is the LNC appoints the interim chair, whose responsibility is to get the committee together, get the first meeting called at which you elect the permanent chair. I am seeking the permanent chair position. Whether I win it or not is another story. But I am seeking it. I've been platform committee chair for 3 terms. I'm not seeking that again. I'm not even applying for an LNC position on the platform committee. I might apply for a Colorado appointment, but I'm not applying for an LNC appointment. It's more than enough time to let somebody else do that, at least on the LNC end. Bylaws, and I might not even I don't know really what I'm going to do, but I'm certainly not seeking to be platform committee chair. I've done that 3 terms in a row. That's enough in a row. I'd love to do it again in the future, but it's more than time to allow somebody else that opportunity. But I am seeking to be bylaws committee chair. So was that. The ballot access committee was appointed. The chair appoints the non-LNC members of that committee, and the LNC appoints the LNC members of that committee. I know you guys think I have no life, because I really don't. I don't have the names in front of me because I didn't put them up on the website yet. Let me see if I remember them. The LNC members of the ballot access committee are Destin Nana, Rich Bowen, Todd Hagopian, and myself. The non-LNC members are Layla Bush, Eric Cardova, and Andy Jacobs. I did remember it. So that's the ballot access committee. We don't take office, though, till February 2021, but I'm on the current ballot access committee. So I think all the LNC, except for Todd, are already on the current one, so we just continue. Let's see what else happened. We affiliated New Mexico. I think I told you guys that was unanimous. Of course, we passed a resolution regarding, and because this is something Richard Winger has really pressed, and I agree with him, that we need to start focusing on initiatives to get better ballot access rather than this endless hamster wheel of petitioning. Now, obviously, we will petition if we have to, but getting constitutional amendments and things like that is a much easier route. But you want to have sticker shock. And for all the haters out there, this has nothing, I got this on the record. This isn't the fault of this LNC, and it's also not the fault of the prior LNC. It's not anyone's fault. It's the nature of the beast. Guess what the price tag will be to get our presidential candidate on the ballot in 50 states? Just guess. Don't guess if you were at the meeting and heard this, but guess. I'm going to give you all a few minutes to guess in chat on how much it's going to cost us over the next 2 years. The duopoly complains, Democrats complain about voter suppression, and yeah, that's a problem. And the Republicans complain about, election integrity and all that. It's going to cost us $1 million in order to get, and that is insane. We are the 3rd largest political party in this country. And every 4 years, in the last 2 years, we have to spend, it's $1 million. So offer, at least it's not $5 million. It'll cost us $1 million at a minimum. That, I think, that is a low estimate, but it's going to cost us about $1 million. Maybe it was 1.1 million. It's about $1 million. And that's insane, because in the 2 years already passed, I think they spent $80,000. Like, it's crazy. You want to talk about voter suppression, so I think Richard Winger is right. We really need to go trying to get initiatives. That's what happened in Colorado. Happened in Colorado. It probably is a low estimate, and I'm going to tell you all the reality. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm trying to be realistic. My optimistic self says, yeah, we're going to get 50 state ballot access. My realistic is we probably aren't. And it has nothing to do with this LNC or the past one. It's what the legislatures are bending us over. And unless we have some phenomenal fundraising for ballot access, it's not going to happen. Our budget is what, $1.7 million? More than half of our budget can't go to ballot access. Like, it's insane. Unless if we raise a great deal of money for it. Hey, Kathy, how you doing? You could tell my voice is still terrible. And I hope I didn't wake you up this morning. I overslept. My alarm didn't go off. Good thing I had to pee. That's the one good thing about getting old. You got to pee. Like, I'm still talking about the meeting, by the way. Kathy, I was talking about the one debate that we had over the meeting. And then the appointment of bylaws, because it was a pretty tame meeting. But yeah, that's just crazy. So Florida got a constitutional amendment passed, and I do think that's the way we need to go. I think Richard Winger's right. I think Hector Russo's right, who put forward that resolution. My voice is just getting worse and worse. So let me think. I can't discuss anything that happened in executive session. You guys know that. We had a budget discussion, where we all set our priorities and things like that. I'm going to be very, very vague. The things that were only publicly disclosed. But there will be a public budget that is posted very soon. But there's things, staff issues, staff salaries, that those things just aren't public. So sorry if you don't like that. That's just the way it is. But a public budget will be posted, I think within the next 10 days, they said. I'm not sick, Kathy. This is from all that talking at the at those events. Because I'm at home, I only talk to myself and I mumble. This is from just talking at the meeting and not drinking enough water and only drinking soda and drinking a lot of booze. Not Hollywood levels, but enough. Oh, God. I actually didn't drink that much, but I drank enough to make my voice go. So what else happened? I think, we gave reports. The building discussion. I hope it was clear. But I know that the people who want to misrepresent what's going on will continue to misrepresent what's going on. But the building discussion happened, and it was made clear we're not talking about getting rid of the building. We were talking about whether or not the current building serves our needs. And I think the consensus was starting to go to, no, it doesn't, but this probably shouldn't be worried about this term. So, all y'all pushing the panic button, but something got revealed that I hope some people have some dealing with it to do. Robert Kraus made it clear that the purchase of this building was never intended to be our permanent headquarters. It was intended by the LNC that passed it, that it was like a starter home. That once it was paid off, that we would look at getting something different. The market was really tough then. We had very slim pickings. So, and they're not happy with the 3-floor layout and all of that. So those of you pushing the panic button, it was the original intent for this not to be permanent, for us to look for something better. So settle down, Beavis. I'm trying to think of what else happened. I think that was pretty much it. There was a lot of reports and budget discussion. Was there anything else major, Kathy? I mean, we did make it clear, though some people will not accept this, that the LNC, whether or not we pass a censure, which we're not going to do, that's useless and it's a distraction for the National Party to do when we're talking about a state party candidate. The National Party does not support Republicans. We are not happy about that. But if you want to continue to believe that, you're going to continue to believe it, no matter what I say. But people, now you know the facts. Let's just put it that way. What else happened? I think that was, can I get into one note here? I don't think I can get into OneNote here, and I can't get into my LNC email here. So I'm like trying to think of the agenda. There was a lot of reports, and Pat Ford, the affiliate support committee, had a really exciting report, I thought. And I think that was it. And Angela is very pregnant. And she's just all belly. It's adorable. And Michael Duque just got married to the chair of Washington, and they're expecting a baby as well in January. So that's exciting. There was like a dual party, a little bit of baby shower type thing that happened on Sunday night, and that was fun. We raised, we don't have the final fundraising totals, but I think it was between $5,000 and $7,000 on Friday night. I think that I think pretty much covers it. Is there any questions that anyone has about anything that happened? It was a very productive but uneventful. Those are the types of LNC meetings I like, the ones where you get a lot done without fireworks. Because, that's when you're a functional board, when we're all eager to go out with each other. I can tell you in past boards, the minute the meeting adjourned, people split off into their little cliques and like whispered so that another clique didn't hear where they were all going out. Meanwhile, we all wanted to go out together and with the gallery if they wanted to go. So that was nice. This board has... Oh, I know what else I needed to discuss. So I've gotten a ton of feedback on this. And I understand that this is probably the most controversial thing. It's the automatic resignation of Mike Ruffo. I've gotten even more feedback on this of people being very concerned that this sets a bad precedent. So if you guys don't know, pursuant to the bylaws, and I'm going to tell you how I think the bylaws should be changed. It doesn't mean I'm going to propose it on the bylaws committee. I'd like to hear member feedback. But according to the bylaws, if an LNC member, including a regional, not alternates though, but including a regional, misses 2 in-person meetings in a row, they are considered to have automatically resigned. However, the board can reappoint the resigned member. When you have a board that gets along as well as we do, and we're all friends, the tendency always will be to reappoint the resigned member. But is that the best thing? I've gotten a lot of feedback that it's not. I accept any criticism, but I've made the motion I've made. I'm just leaving it alone. The vote will go how it goes, but I did move to reappoint Mike Ruffo, and I know some people, they love Mike. This has nothing to do with Mike. They're concerned about the precedent, and I agree. The precedent, I'm concerned about the precedent. So I can tell you guys that if there's another automatic resignation, and actually, I think I can pretty definitively say, I put a proviso in there in case other people maybe weren't going to be as strong about it as I am. I put a proviso on there, and note that this proviso is non-binding. You can't bind a future decision of the LNC. What you can do is move a resolution that it is the intent of the LNC. So I put it's the intent of the LNC that this will be the only, if it passes, the only reinstatement, and that unless somebody missed 2 consecutive meetings because they were like personally in the hospital, we're not doing this again. So the rest of the LNC is on notice. You need to come to these meetings. You can't miss the meetings. And personally, if someone's in the hospital for 6 months they probably should resign anyway because they have much bigger issues to deal with their health than worrying about LNC meetings. Your health is more important. There's a lot of things more important than LNC meetings, or the LNC, or the party. Your health and your family. And if you're at a position in life where your family needs you, there's no shame in resigning. In fact, that's the honorable thing to do, because quite honestly, your family is more important than this party. And your health is more important than this party. So I can pretty definitively say that I will not vote for another reinstatement. I've heard the criticism and I've taken it to heart. I am voting yes on this one because I told Mike Ruffo I would, and I keep my word. However, I also am going to keep my word that this will be the last one. I understand the issue about precedent. Now, let me tell you a bylaws thing I think should be in there. Because hopefully we have functional LNCs in the future that like each other. So that's a good problem to have. The downside of it is people will always vote to reinstate. I actually think the bylaws should be amended to say that if someone misses 2 meetings and is considered automatically resigned, that they're ineligible to be reappointed to that position. And that takes the pressure off of a group of friends. I know precedent's not binding. JJ, oh my God, if you say that another time, I'm going to fly to Pennsylvania. I don't know what I'll make you cry. I know precedent's not binding, but it doesn't matter. Precedent is persuasive. It sets a tradition. It makes it seem like we don't care about people missing meetings. So I would like to take that pressure off of the LNC, off of people who like each other, who don't want to, they don't want to be that guy. So the radical caucus bylaws, when there's automatic resignations, actually, I have it a little bit different with the radical, let's just, without getting into the specifics of the radical caucus bylaws, the radical caucus bylaws, Mark Montoni was very wise in this, had said boards, well, I don't think he would say this anymore, because Mark Montoni actually said, boards never remove one of their own. I think I proved that wrong. Boards do remove one of their own. Mark, you were wrong. But boards that like each other, let's qualify it. Boards that like each other don't remove one of their own. So I do think the bylaws should remove that temptation and say that because if someone's missed 2 meetings, it's probably a good sign that this isn't the right time of their life to serve on the LNC. It's not that they're bad LNC members at all. Just because it's not a right time of life doesn't mean they're a bad LNC member. You know, just shit happens. Look, it could happen to me. Any one of us could get sick. You know, and if I couldn't do my duties, I would resign. I mean, I've resigned from plenty of, well, I don't want to say plenty of things because I'm an over-volunteerer, but I have resigned from committees before. I've resigned from committees that I didn't have time to, and I've also resigned from committees when I felt that the rest of the committee had a different understanding of what the purpose of the committee was, and there was no clear direction from the appointing body. I've resigned from those committees because I just felt it wasn't right. Like, I know this isn't exactly on point with Roberts, but I felt it was on point enough to compel me to resign that Robert says you should appoint people to committees who are in general agreement with the purpose of the committee. Like if the purpose of the committee is to find a new building to buy, for example. I'm just pulling this out of my butt. We don't have any such committee. You don't put someone on the committee who doesn't want to buy a new building. Like they're at odds. Like you don't put somebody on the bylaws committee who doesn't think we should have bylaws at all or something like that. You know, you don't put people. So when I, on one committee in Colorado, felt like I was at odds with the rest of the committee, and there just wasn't a clear understanding of the purpose, and it seemed like everybody else thought the purpose was different than I did, I resigned from that committee. I just felt I was ethically obligated to resign. And there's been times I haven't had enough time. I've resigned from committees. So anyway, that's just a long way of saying I hear you, I hear the concerns, and this is a one-time thing for me. I'm not doing it again. I love everybody on the LNC, but it's difficult, but everyone's on notice now. There's people who missed this meeting, and they're both good friends of mine. They better be at the next meeting because I'm not doing this again. So that was the other thing. That didn't happen at the meeting. I mean, the missing the meeting and the automatic resignation happened at adjournment. That's going to be an email ballot. But it's related to the meeting, but it didn't happen at the meeting. So what else actually happened at the meeting? I think that's it. Kathy, did I forget anything? JJ, you watched. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think so. Oh, I did. See? You guys aren't helping me, but I'm remembering. So there was a report, and things got, I won't say it got contentious here, but it got spirited, which is good. There was a report from the International Alliance of Libertarian Parties, and thank you to Michael Duque for reaching out and starting a conversation with them. But they're not too happy with some of the messaging coming out of the National Party. And it's not it's a little bit what people might think. Like they did mention New Hampshire, and I got a bit upset about that because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care what a foreign Libertarian Party thinks about New Hampshire. New Hampshire is U.S. It's our affiliate. I know people could disagree with me on this, but my hackles got raised over that. I'm not minding. Like, I don't know which country it was, so I'm just going to pull one out of my booty. I'm going to pull the one out of my booty that wasn't there because I asked Michael Duque if there was a representative of the UK Libertarian Party there, and there weren't. So I'm going to use them as an example because they weren't there. If the UK Libertarian Party had a complaint about New Hampshire, it's like mind your own business. I'm not complaining about, I don't know how their party, but let's just say they had a London affiliate or something. That ain't my business. I'm not going to be telling, the London Libertarian Party had a message. Like, no, all of a sudden I'm getting all patriotic. That's unlike me. But I do get possessive of that. Like, no, we'll handle our own. Thank you very much. But more interestingly is they didn't like the way we were messaging the war between Russia and Ukraine, and felt that we needed to be like pro Ukraine. We're not. We're anti-war. We're not anti-Ukraine. We're pro the Ukrainian people who are victims of this war, but we're also pro the Russian people who are victims of this war. It's the leaders suck, and the West has culpability here, and that's how we're going to message. And foreign countries cannot like that all they want, but libertarianism is an anti-interventionist policy. And I understand it hits a lot closer to home. It's like, I get it that it's real easy for us, on the other side of the globe, that, a lot of it's, on their continent, it's a lot different. But no, I'm sorry, not sorry. We are not going to be, doing something that we think are beating the drums of war to World War III. We're just not going to do that. And I think people need to remember, once again, libertarianism is a non-interventionist foreign policy. It just is. You don't have to like that. You don't even have to agree with it if you're a libertarian. Not all libertarians agree with all points of libertarianism. But that is the party's position. Might not be any individual libertarian's position, but it's mine. But it doesn't. Not every libertarian has to agree with that. But that is the party's position. You got to deal with that. Oh, and we had a great presentation from Mike. I don't know if you knew this. Linda Templin, who you know, she's been at our Colorado convention. She's given presentations at LPCO board meetings. She flew down to Austin to give us a presentation on RCV and proportional representation. And I thought it was excellent. I thought she did a really, really good job. I do think that it opened the eyes of some people on the LNC who perhaps weren't as aware of RCV in proportional representation, because, everybody can't know everything about everything, and everyone has their own hobby horse. Obviously, RCV is one of mine. So we had that for a lunchtime, Saturday lunch presentation, and that was pretty incredible that she came down to do that. So that was fantastic. Okay, so let me think if there was anything else. Now that Pat's here, Pat, Kathy, and JJ, did I forget anything? I don't think I did. I think I covered the major stuff. And oh, wow. Is it really 9:30? No, it's 8:30. I didn't change this clock. So it's been over an hour and I'm about to lose my voice. Well, I've been losing it. I didn't want to go over an hour. I was hoping to keep it at 45 minutes, but we had a lot to cover. Did I cover Yes, I did. I did cover that discussion, Pat. I'm sorry you weren't here for that. And I did say that you were going to be dressing up as a pirate wench in order to get a meeting in Rhode Island. Oh, and Offer wanted to know how my Castle Rock election's going. We'll know tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow. It's so hard to tell because, there isn't polling and things like that. That's what she said, JJ.
That's what she said.
Okay. Oof. I'm good. Now I'm turning bright red for some reason. I'm going to get going. I hope you all have an awesome night. I think tomorrow will be a history show. What is tomorrow? Oh, no. Tomorrow's election. There's not going to be a show tomorrow. If there's a show, yeah, Chuck. And just an FYI, Chuck, to let you know, you'll see this in the minutes. You tied with somebody for bylaws committee and lost the randomization. But I am absolutely positive you'll be a high-ranked alternate. I obviously can't promise that, but you tied for one of the spots, and Opa Vote did randomization, and you lost the random tiebreaker. I just wanted to let you know that. I didn't want you to feel bad. But I can't promise anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're not. I would be surprised if you're not first-ranked alternate. I could be wrong. I never know, but it wouldn't surprise me. We're doing 7 alternates if you didn't hear. So I think there's a 0 chance that you're not going to be an alternate, but I would suspect that you're going to be ranked 1 or 2 in the alternates. but it but it sucks to lose a coin toss. I mean, it was a virtual coin toss, Opa vote, but you'll see it in the minutes, obviously, the way that Opa vote thing went. All right, everyone, I'm gonna get going, and tomorrow's election, so no, there won't be a show. I said I was going to do a history show, but that won't be. But I might get on to talk about my election. But instead of worrying, not that I think you all are concerned about my shows, but tune in to LPTV tomorrow, which is you turn into the National Party's YouTube stream. Angela and Lainey are going to be doing an election show. They'll be talking about results coming from all over the country. Pat, you're on tomorrow, right? I know I'm coming on for a little while, and I thought it was you that was coming on also for a little while. So there's going to be like some other guest appearances. Maybe Pat will wear his pirate wench outfit. Who knows? Tune in to find out. So yeah, if you're planning on watching YouTube tomorrow or looking for shows, please give the National Party your eyeballs. And if you're so inclined, we need to raise a lot of money for ballot access. All right, you all, I hope you have an awesome night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully my voice will be a little bit better. Bye-bye.
Gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians, or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business.